Hi, everybody. My name is Kenya Joyce, and I'm the Executive Director at Beautiful Seed. And I am here to have a very real conversation with some of our young adults here in Chicago regarding the George Floyd footage that is shaking the nation right now and shaking the world. I'm going to start, before we start our conversation, I want to introduce you guys to all of our youth that are going to be sharing in our discussion today. And so we're just going to start and kind of go around and introduce ourselves. So we'll start with Dylan.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Dylan, 22 years old, currently out of high school, not in college. I'm a tradesman, pipe at our local 597. And I just want to say, watching that video, it makes me have mixed emotions from fear to anger. It's just all over the place. And just, yeah, just mixed emotions.
All right, Ken.
I'm Ken. I'm 20 years old. I go to Illinois State University, where I study political science and criminal justice. When I seen that video, I was very irate and I was fuming because it just showed how insignificant a Black life is in America.
Jada.
Hi, my name is Jada. I'm currently a junior at Southeast Missouri State University. Figure that out at the end of this year. But watching that video, it made me feel unsurprised. It was something that I was expecting, and the reactions were expected as well.
Maya.
Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maya Hopkins. I'm a rising senior at Spelman College, International Studies major. As Dylan said, very many emotions going through that. Fear is definitely one of them. Anger, stress. Also kind of not surprised because it's happened so often. And just scared that that could be someone closer to home. That's how I was feeling while watching.
Quentin.
Good evening. My name is Quentin Harris. Currently working to receive my high school diploma. Going to SNHU college in October. The video, it made me feel helpless at that moment. Because just being a Black man and living life every day, I just put myself in his shoes, and just to not to see no one helping him, I felt like I felt helpless. So that's how it made me feel.
Kaylin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kaylin Anderson, and I'm currently enrolled into Northeastern Illinois State University, majoring in psychology. Seeing that video made me have mixed emotions, from sad to scared to being mad, all at once, because seeing that how easy a Black life can be taken like that with no care at all is just, like I said, it makes very mixed emotions, and to me, it's just not right at all.
Alyssa.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alyssa. I'm a current graduate of DRW College Prep. I will be attending Howard University in the fall, and I'll be majoring in political science. I think seeing the video made me feel unsurprised, like Jada and Maya said, but I think I'm more aggravated than anything, because even though it's unsurprising, it's like you're aggravated because it continues to happen, and it's crazy. I think the whole video describes as crazy and unsurprised.
Marjay. Unmute yourself, Marjay. Okay.
Got you. Hi guys, my name is Marjay Ray. I'm a graduating senior going to ISU, and I'm the CEO of Ice Cream Culture. The video is kind of, like everyone else said, kind of like not surprising to me, because it has happened again and again and again and again, and it keeps happening. It's actually also really sad because I have 3 brothers, and knowing that like going out, that they have to kind of be invisible, almost, that really, really, really bothers me. So yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing. I think, mostly everybody can empathize with what you guys have said, which is just all of these mixed emotions, being angry, sad, worried, stressed, all of those emotions that come with it. And you guys stated already, it continues to happen. Before we get in our discussion, I just want to reiterate some of the facts surrounding the case before I bring Marshall Jr., who is the CEO of MAAFA Redemption. But just to reiterate kind of some facts. So we know on May 25th, 2020, 46-year-old George Floyd was arrested by Minneapolis police after a neighborhood grocery store claimed that Floyd used a counterfeit $20 bill to purchase something in the store. As police arrested Floyd, they claimed that he resisted arrest as they tried to pull him out of a vehicle. The arrest then led to a white police officer, as we see in the video, kneeling down on Floyd's neck for several minutes while Floyd's face is on the ground, pleading for his life. The white police officer continues to kneel on Floyd's neck for around 4 minutes, even after Floyd stops breathing. Floyd was then later taken to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. So those are facts that we know. Again, they claimed that he was resisting arrest. If you watch any footage from that day from the nearby stores, it never shows him resisting. So I do want to say that. I want to introduce the executive director of MAAFA Redemption Project, Marshall Hatch Jr., who's going to be leading us in our discussion today as we are really tackling this and, again, trying to cope with what is happening in our country right now. Marshall.
Thank you, Joyce. Again, my name is Marshall. Friends and family call me J-Boo, so feel free to call me J-Boo. The video made me feel pain, it made me feel rage, and it made me feel a sense of frustration. I know my sister said that this is not a faith-based setting, but I do want to start with the scripture. And as you hear this scripture, I want you to visualize what we just saw and the brutal murder of our brother, George Floyd. It comes from the book of Habakkuk, the 1st chapter, and this is what it says. How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you, violence, but you do not save me? Why do you make me look at such injustice? Why do you tolerate such wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife, conflict abounds. Therefore, the law is paralyzed, it's useless, and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted. Look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. This is what the Lord says, for I am doing something in your days that you would not believe. That's Habakkuk. But I wanted this conversation to ground the words of that scripture. I wanted us to be grounded in the words of that scripture because it's a lot of what we feel. The frustration that Habakkuk voiced is the same frustration that we feel. Why? Because we know that George Floyd he's a part of a continuum of violence, state-sanctioned violence against Black life and Black bodies. In other words, before George Floyd, there was Michael Brown, there was Tamir Rice, so many names. And then these are the names, and I would love to hear what you all think about this thought. These are the names that we know about because these are the names that were captured on video. And so the thought of using social media, using our phones as our most valued weapon against oppression is something that we have now that our ancestors didn't necessarily have. They didn't have that during lynching. So there are, as many names as we know, there are 3 or 4 times as many names we don't know. The first question I want to raise to the group has to do with this thought, though, just the history. Many of you know of the term and the concept of epigenetics. Epigenetics says that we inherit some of the trauma, some of the pain that our ancestors suffered. So in fact, we were born with a certain sense of pain. And for the brothers on the phone, that's why when we pulled over by the cops, that's why the hair on the back of our neck stand up. That's why we feel a certain sense of rage and pain, even when it's not really warranted. And so that's what I want to deal with first is all of you describe how the video initially made you feel. Now I want you to talk, Sharon, please share.
Sure. So, me being 30 years old and growing up like in the 90s, racism, it's always been there, always. I attended Lane Tech High School, and it was very diverse, very different cultures, different races, and you would think, during the times that racism would still exist, but it always existed. It was always there, from favoritism in the classroom to leniency with behavior issues, just all different type of things. Just I could go to so much. And me being who I am, I never wanted to be a racist, but I always knew that they ain't like us. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like that. Like they played it off like, man, we gonna deal. They just deal with us. You know what I'm saying? Like they never really liked us. But as being an adult, you don't want to live like that. You want to try to be fair with everybody. But then now I get to the point now to what's going on right now in the world and has perpetuated. It's like we at a standstill, like what we supposed to do, and we have to stand together. And stand together could look a lot of different ways, but what happened that day, it won't look like that. that's not standing together. Even if it took somebody to some type of diversion or a tackle or anything. Like, I'm from Chicago. Like, the police here, they real aggressive. You know what I'm saying? So anything like that going on, they got their guns drawn in the door. So even they come to your car, if they pull you over for a simple traffic stop, for a headlight, when they come into your car, to your window, they got their guns drawn in your face. So growing up in that, it's like, it's traumatizing, man. It's traumatizing. And that's something that we try to put behind us because we live life every day. And we try to put those things away beneath, but it's like we can't put it beneath the surface because look how it come up. Look at these things happen. And then all the things that have to happen behind this is the riots and people getting hurt, and it's just so much. So it's we got to stand together. Whatever going on, whatever happening, man, we got to stand together.
Jada, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I think the thing that ticked me off most of all is this, like, it's history repeating itself. You know, we see in like historical movies about like slavery and things, you know, when they whipped one person, the rest of us was forced to watch. Whether it be they're whipping us to pay us back for something, or they're gonna whip us until we die, the rest of us was forced to watch. So I feel like us as a society, as a Black society, we have it ingrained in our minds that if we respond and if we react, we're going to suffer the same fate, which, you know, it happens so and so that's probably what could have happened. If somebody would have interfered, you would have been next, but he would have been saved. And, you know, sometimes you never know what to do. All we can do is pull out our phones and record it and hope that this reaches a large enough audience that something can be done. But 9 times out of 10, nothing happens. Like, the medical report just dropped and they posted that, oh, he didn't die of asphyxiation. He died from, you know, aggression, and he had a heart problem. He had something up with his arteries at the same time. But wouldn't that's just another factor that came into play from something that you did. You sat on a man's neck and you saw his body convulse, trying to take his last breath over and over again. You watched a man die in the middle of the street. He died before he got in the ambulance. He died before he got to the hospital. He died under your knee, and you had to feel it happen. You have to feel that through your whole body. You have to feel him taking his last breath. And I feel like if you can watch a person die by your hand, I mean, there's no saving. I don't think we need to continue to try to integrate and try to shoot for equality, because it's 400 years after slavery has ended, and we're still seeing the same thing happen over and over again. And I feel like the reactions, the burning down of buildings is just. And it may not seem so, you know, you never want to, you know, violence begets more violence, but violence is the result of violence as well. Burning down buildings and burning down shops, Target is a multi-million-dollar corporation. You know, AutoZone is a multi-million-dollar corporation. Things can be replaced. Money can still be made, but once a life is lost, it's gone. You're never going to get it back. And I think that's what's happening. Like, people are angry. People are upset. You killed somebody and you want us to say, okay, well, if this one person goes to jail for it, it'll be fine. It won't be fine, because you're going to do it again. In less than 3 weeks, less than 4 weeks, this story will die down. And then it's going to take another month, another 2, another viral video for it to happen again, and for us to get angry again, and for another protest and another riot. And it's repetitive and it's unending. So it's always expected. So, like, where do you go from here if they're gonna hang bait in front of us, give us something to get angry at, let us be satisfied for a little while just for it to happen again?
Sister Marjay?
Oh, okay.
I have a lot of frustrations with that video. it's like, it's very frustrating. But I'll just start with one, like having 3 brothers, and my dad, I'll start with this. I run track. And so me and my dad were on the track, and, you know, after my workout, he said, I would have had to try to stop that cop, because that I would have had to try. Like, I would have had to try. And the first thing I asked him was, that means you would have to risk your life to try to save another man. And he said, well, I feel like I would have had more opportunity in that situation of living than a man that was on the ground. And I just was really sad, though, because to even think that an unarmed person, like in that scenario, would have died, and 2 Black males could have died if somebody would have tried to help, is really frustrating. Like, it's really, really frustrating. I think the riots and all, something interesting is, I used to live in Minnesota, so I'm very familiar with the riots and how they're a little bit of just how their government system goes and how the suburbs are there. And it's very invigorating, because it's like, what do we do? What do we do when the systematic oppression is so deep in the roots of the United States of America? We do when what do you do? Like, what do you do when teaching a young Black boy or a young Black girl to be respectful, or, you know, to make sure they have their hands up is not enough anymore? Like, it's coming to a point where walking outside is just as great as a threat of if I had a gun, you know, if I was armed. So it's very frustrating. I think that, you know, just tapping into like the people that's like looting and targets and things like that, I think that's frustrating too, because I feel like as a community of Black people, sometimes we underestimate ourselves about how much our brains is important. For example, like the Black community could bankrupt the whole United States if we stop purchasing from white stores, from white-owned communities. Most of the money that is going out is from the impoverished communities, people that don't have, that are spending money in communities that do have. And so it's like, just thinking about how much power that is, you know, there are more effective ways to use your power. And I want, you know, and I'm super open to, you know, I just want to ask like the people on the call, looting a Target, do you think that's the most effective way as a Black person? Because you already have like, that is feeding into the stereotype of that. I don't know if you got, you know, Birth of the Nation, Mongol, monstrous stereotype of who we are as Black people. Like, this isn't, you know, this isn't new. This is very like, you know, it's old, and that's why it's frustrating, because it's like you wake up and you think this is 2020, we have grown, and then the next day you have 4 incidents that happen within 72 hours of Black people being targeted, and you just like, oh, never mind. So yeah.
That's a very powerful point, Marjane. Let me complicate that a little bit though, because as I understand, a majority of the people who are looting in Minneapolis right now are not Black. I think 2/3. And also, I don't know if it's verified or not, but perpetrators of burning like stores down in Minneapolis, not only are they not Black, but I've heard that some are even undercover police officers. I don't want to start conspiracy theories, but these are all of the things that are being laid out. And I think it kind of complicates that narrative. But I think your point, your ultimate point, is a very, very strong one in terms of effective ways. Maybe the most effective way of burning down a Target is not physically burning down a Target, but not shopping at the Target. Like, that's a very, very strong point. I think that's a brilliant point. We can definitely circle back to it. I know Deal had something to say. If you want to add to that, Deal, or at least answer Marjay's direct question, but I think you up.
All right. So when I was watching that video, like I said, I had mixed emotions. The thing is, no matter what we do as Black individuals, the Black community, we just like pray. No matter what we do, somebody or something always think, or somebody finds some way to make us look bad, hurt us, target us, or bring us down in some type of way. It's like they say, you can conduct yourself in a certain way. And like Jada was saying, and Marjay was saying, like, how could you do this something for so long? You could be good to this person, but yet they still hurting you, bring you down, want to kill you, and just make you look bad. Hatch, you just mentioned like 2/3 of the people were practically white looting a target. Looting a target. And it makes it interesting how social media just dictates it and just brainwashes us. And this whole thing about racism, the thing was racism never died. It was just suppressed. It's been an institution still to this day. It's with companies, it's with individuals. The thing is that my generation, millennials, we are so blinded about what's going on in the world and these things that just look good. And then once some surfaces on the internet, they jump on the wave. And my whole thing is like, Jada said, you see this and then 2 weeks later it's gone. People are outraged and, people are talking about things that's going on and how can we fix it? And my wholeheartedly honest opinion, Marjay did make a good point about not shopping at these companies. But then again, what more could we do? Because like I said, we practically pray. It's like sticking your hand out there trying to rub a snake. You expecting to get bit. It's just certain things like it confuses me, which is why I have mixed emotions. Sometimes I just like, should I rage out and lash out? And I've been hearing this statement all week, hurting people hurt people. I heard it like Monday through Friday this whole week. Hurting people hurt people. And it kind of makes sense through this situation. We are all like in turmoil because George Floyd just got murdered. And like I said, it hurt me. Like I sat right there and watched that video over and over and over again. And each time, like I'm a person of happiness. I always just like to smile and like to see the brighter side of things. But when I seen it, it hurt me to the point where I wanted to cry. Like I just got on my knees and got to praying. Like, what more could we do?
Maya nodding your head, Ken nodding your head. Kaylin, you got anything, or Alyssa to add?
Well,
Yeah. Oh,
you can go. I'll go next.
Yeah, go ahead, Alyssa.
thank you. Just like Jada was saying, it's a coincidence that she said this, that first we see stuff and then it starts to die down. Like, for example, like the MAAFA story. That surfaced in February. And everybody was upset, but they weren't just this outrageous because I think everybody was satisfied because we had got the justice because them people got arrested. But after they got arrested, we didn't hear anything else about it. So I think we was satisfied for them getting arrested. And then like 2-3 months later, here come this. Like we get a break and then it stops and then it comes back again. So it's funny that you were saying that because before we got on this call, I was thinking the same thing. And then Marjay, I think your name is Marjay, I don't know how to pronounce it. But like you were saying, you was asking, was looting like justified? Basically, I think that was like the gist of your question. Was looting justified? I feel like Mr. Hatch, I don't know what to call it. Like Mr. Hatch said, he was saying that 2/3 of the people were white, and that's not that's what they're not showing on social media. They're showing all the Black people looting. And it's like, okay, well, Black people, they're looting because they're using this death as basically ways to get things from Target, or basically ways to steal from Target. But you're not showing the white people that's looting too. I mean, I seen a picture of somebody, they walked out a Target with a whole car seat, a baby stroller. Like, you're not showing everything. You're not showing everything, but you're showing these white people protesting, but you're showing these Black people where it looks like they're stealing. It don't sit right with me. And I think probably looting the Target, burning down Target, like raiding the Target, I feel like it was actually unnecessary. I feel that way because it's like, what are you going to get done? But when Marjay, she said, okay, yeah, you're looting these multi-million-dollar companies, and it's like, what else can you do? Like Dylan said, what else can you do? It's nothing else you can do, because when you think about it, it's not resources put in Black communities where you can go and loot those communities. That's why people going to mess up other people's stuff, because it's like, okay, I'm going to mess up what's not in my community. I can't mess this up. This is my stuff. I'm not going to mess up what's in my community. So they're going to other people's communities, white communities, and they're looting their things so they can make it their statement. And then even when they charged the man, they charged him with third-degree murder. Like, you charged him with manslaughter. You saying it was an accidental death. Like, even when you go swimming, you only can hold your breath for 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, like, we sat there and watched that video for like 5 minutes. We all sat there and watched. How long can you sit on somebody's neck to think, oh, they're not dead. Oh, they're okay. The man is already detained. Like, what else can you do? Like, that's why it aggravates me, but it's unsurprising because it had happened so many times. I'm not surprised by the outcome. I'm not like shocked because it happened so many times, but it's aggravating because we have to go through this constantly. And then, Ms. Hatch, even when you sent the text message, like 235 people was killed by the by white police officers. Don't nobody know that. I didn't know that. I was surprised. I was like, what? Wow, like, we never heard of this. We only hear about the ones, like you said, that was captured. Like, you only hear about them, but nobody's making a statement about the other people that had died, which is crazy. And somebody somewhere seen something, but you're not saying anything. That's the thing that aggravates me. You're not saying nothing because you have the privilege to say it, but either I understand that people are scared, people are fearful, but you have the voice to speak out. Somebody's going to protect you one way or another. You can speak out still. That's why it aggravates me, because nobody really using their resources, nobody using their voice. But I guess people are too miseducated to know how to use their voice because nobody knows how. I mean, I think it all starts with resources, because if somebody in a community shows, okay, you can do this. If somebody has that support system, somebody has those teachers, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll voice our opinions correctly. We won't do the illegal stuff. We won't go looting that Target and stuff like that. So I think that's what aggravates me the most. We're miseducated. I think that's my whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Go ahead, Ken, and then we'll have Kaylin. And that's all.
So after seeing the video, I went a different direction. I went straight to the leadership of this country. We see a leader that constantly degrades Black people, women, people of minorities in this country, and makes it okay. Makes people feel safe that they can break the law and get away with it. He said he can kill a man on the corner and get away with it. He said he can do derogatory things to women and get away with it. He's making a society where everything is okay and seems everything is so just. And if we look throughout history, after every progressive move that we made in America, we followed by a regressive move in America. After we ended slavery, we put a president into office, and he let all the people that committed treason against the United States back in with no repercussions. We get out of the civil rights. We get into the civil rights era, and we get out of Jim Crow. We come in and we elect Reagan, and he starts the war on drugs. We get Barack Obama. He gets out of office. We elect Trump right after him, and he sets a whole nother precedent in America. We keep following the same cycle of going, we're trying to progress, but then we follow by regression because America itself is built not to be for the Black man. It's built for white men that created this country. So when I seen the video, I just seen a white man that felt like he can get away with it because his president said he could get away with it. His president made it all right for him to go kill somebody and feel that he was justified because it's a black man on the street and it's a white man doing the crime. And it just shows another racist thing because they're trying to make a race hierarchy. And since more people are more important than the next, even though we all had the same blood running through our veins. So when I seen that video, it just showed how America, it was built and how it's continually running because we're not moving anywhere. We're in a stagnant place where the white man is still in control of everything and we have no say so. And we can keep revolting, but until we can revolt together and make a unified front about it, can we ever make a change?
Kayla?
When I had watched the video, like I said before, I felt very mixed emotions of sadness, just being mad, and like seeing that this cycle is just continuing to go as we move forward in our lives, and to know that this won't end is very aggravating, like very aggravating. And I don't agree with all the looting that's happened in Target and everything that's going on in Minnesota, but it's only so much that we can take until we start being violent with them. Like, we tried voicing our opinions back in the 60s with Dr. King, but we're still being oppressed. We tried voicing our madness in our songs with NWO, but we're still being oppressed. We tried so many options, so many ways to let everybody know, like, this is still going on. But I feel like the government, like the leadership, isn't listening. Like, this racism is just a disease that's plaguing the United States all together, and it's just sad. Like what more can we do to prevent this from happening? Like, I feel as long as there are people who hate us, who hate other races, like, this will not go away at all. So.
Brother Kalen, you mentioned Dr. King, and Dr. King during his time on this earth experienced many riots. Maybe the most egregious was the Watts riot in 1965, after which he said, riot is essentially the language of the unheard. So in light of that quote, I wanted to really applaud all of you for giving just very sound and wise commentary on the nature of racism, what's happening, how we move forward. But essentially, you are the next generation of leaders. You are the next Ida B. Wells. You are the next Malcolm X. You are the next Martin King. And so I would implore and encourage you to lift your voice, right? The Negro National Anthem says, lift every voice. What can you do to lift yours? How can you commit your life to the same ideals of justice, liberation for our people that those who sacrificed their lives did for us? How can we do that? And I think that's where we start, honestly. I don't think there are no easy answers. People have been trying to solve race for generations, and you can't solve something that's in the root of the country. This country removed the native people, the indigenous people, killed them off through disease and through violence. And this nation also enslaved our people. So violence is at the root of who we are as a nation, and we have to deal with that one generation at a time. But I am very hopeful listening to all of you, all of your wisdom, just figuring out where we go from here. I know, Sister Joyce, we don't have much time. I wish we can go on, but I suggested to her, maybe we make this a podcast. I know, Sister Jada, you've been working with Sister Joyce to do that on other ends. I think we should take this conversation and build on it so that we actually build up each other. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Joyce. I thank you for allowing me to come in and join this conversation. I look to future ones.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think this is a series of conversations that you have to have. You know, you really can't tackle it in an hour. You honestly can't even tackle it in a day, right? Like, this is going to be an ongoing conversation. But I think it would be good to end with kind of the question that Jay Boo posed, which is, what are you going to do with your voice? What are you personally going to do? We've all expressed how much of an outrage, how we feel, how this has made us feel, how this has personally affected us. And so, like Jay Boo said, the starting point, right? There are no easy answers, but you can control what you contribute, and you can control what you do to prevent this, or to try to prevent this from happening again. So that's how we'll end, is just each of us saying, what is going to be your commitment moving forward? You know, moving forward, what is going to be your personal commitment in terms of, you know, what are you going to do to either alleviate this or to let your voice be heard about this injustice, this and so many others, right, that have been done? We can start with Dylan.
When I think about stuff like that, what I would do or want to continue to do to move forward, um, I always walk back into being totally honest, wholeheartedly. It like confuses me. I always walk back into prayer. One thing I know I want to do though is stay closer to my my community, Black brothers and sisters, everybody that's around me. Because honestly, a year ago, I was probably introverted, just trying to extrovert myself, and constantly seeing stuff like this happening. I wouldn't want it to happen to another person, nobody on this call, which is why my whole thing would be like, we we are young, we are millennials, we we got heads on our shoulders. We can like do community stuff and bring people together. We can reach our hands out, you know. I'm pretty sure I know a couple people, they know a couple people. We all bring people together, you know, start putting our heads together rather than I'm better than this person or I'm better than that person, and making everything a competition. Instead of making it a competition, make it companionship, you know, let everybody be one unity. So so I guess me moving forward nowadays, now that I'm thinking about it as I'm speaking, especially being in the field that's full of politics, um, it would be making steps to bringing more of us younger folks together, since we are leaders in training. You know, since we got people like you, Joyce, Hatch, the church, grandmothers, grandfathers, or people we just look to for wisdom, idols. Um, we just look for wisdom and try to think of ways to bring stuff together. Because I'm pretty sure millennials will listen to us more than they will listen to somebody older. They need like people in their ear, and that's probably how I'm moving forward now. Just thinking about ways I can just get stuff started in the community, sparking stuff. You know, just trying to get people together.
Yeah, I think like for me it's like a lack of integration. Just like Dylan said, like staying connected to my people, because it seems like every time we get a little bit of power, somebody tries to take that from us. And I feel like the stronger we get, the more communal we get, the more we talk to each other, build with each other, invest in each other. You know, there are entire cities or towns in Chicago with just one group of people that are very successful because they invested in each other, because they knew that people who didn't look like them wouldn't invest in them. So I feel like if we become, you know, as a community, one of those groups that if I see you, you know, struggling to get somewhere and I'm already at the top of a mountain, I'm going to give you a hand and just help you up a little bit. I feel like that's the best we can do so far. You know, like a lot of people invested in me, and those same people who invested in me asked me to invest you know, and people who are younger than me. It's a lot of people who look up to me and ask me questions that if I don't know the answer to, I have to figure it out so they can know as well. But, you know, just building with each other, investing in each other, you know, helping each other grow and reach new heights. But like, if it's just starting today, you know, there's a protest right now, happening right now, downtown, headed, you know, down State Street. You know, if y'all are available and if y'all are free and y'all want to, you know, march with each other, you know, on a hot day, just using our words to, you know, let it be heard that, you know, this is something we're fighting back against.
Thank you, Jada. Maya, did you want to share out?
Yeah, I can share. For me, is getting more educated on the situations that are happening that aren't always in social media. For me, I think that's one of the going through listening, because I didn't watch the video beforehand, but I was able to look at different stories and the pictures of white people going into the police precincts and going into the Target and looting themselves, and not just Black folks. And I see Black people picking up the garbage from the burning buildings and just doing things that are more positive. So being educated, as well as educating my peers, that your voice does matter, but also know what you're talking about, because we are all quick to look at, you know, Washington Post and things in the news and stuff that's on social media, which may or may not be true, depending on the biases of those people. So yeah, being more educated, as well as not being afraid to speak, because even being a Black woman and kind of taller and kind of bigger, I fear for my life when I see a police officer, and all my brothers are 6 foot and above and a little more stockier. So that scares me, because they're Black. That's scary. They're stronger because of genetics. Hair is not always combed, so sometimes you look like a savage. So that's something that scares me as well. Speaking out, I'm going to try to use my social media platform to be a voice to be heard. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Maya. Kaylin, did you want to share out?
Yeah, piggybacking off what Maya said, like our generation is gifted with social media. So I feel like the way I can contribute to this situation is by using that platform. Facebook can allow you to create groups where you can get people all in there, and you can plan protests, you can plan marches and everything to go downtown and to speak out against this. But I also think that, and like, I can go door to door for myself and like ask people, do they want to protest and how do they feel about the situation? If people want to do it, then we good. But if not, then I mean, it's okay. Like, it really don't affect me that much, but it should affect them, like that they have a voice to help. Like, we all have voices. We all have this social media platform where we can speak out. And I feel like we need to utilize it more than how we are utilizing it now.
Cool. Thank you, Kaylin. Alyssa, did you want to share out?
Yeah. I feel like this one I'm going to school for. So when I got into Howard, I told them, I said, I want to fight for people. I want to fight for minorities who are falsely accused and underrepresented. And I feel like this makes me even more motivated and determined to do what I want to go to school for. So I just feel like what Maya was saying and like what Kaylin was saying, it's like people just need to get more educated. And it's just not educated with the idea, it's not educated with the situation, it's also educated with like who we represent. Like a lot of our people don't vote. A lot of our people, they just go along with the flow. They just see what happens, see what they can benefit from. They don't vote, they don't make their own decision. They just go along and that's what they do. So if we have people that vote and if we have people that's educated on the circumstances or other situations, not everything that's just surrounded around violence or surrounded around police brutality, like everybody will hop on a bandwagon with other stuff, if that makes sense. So I think you can't educate somebody who don't want to be educated, but you can share your knowledge with other people. You can't share your opinions. You can do that. You have to start little before you start big. And I just feel like me going to school, I just feel like that's like one step that I can do. I'm a minority. I'm a double minority. I'm an African-American woman. So it's like when I go to school, if I'm doing this, people around my family, my family is want to want to do this. My family's friends want to going to do this. So I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Alyssa. Marjay, and then Ken will close us out.
A couple of things that I'll be doing and I'll be doing to continue to, stop all of this systematic oppression is, one, any like Black businesses. I no longer will be going to the nail people. I know this is kind of funny, but the nail people that are of other races, but because there's a lot of Black businesses, hair, nails, any Black businesses I will try to support, especially being a business owner of myself. Like she said, like Alyssa said, voting, you vote for senators, mayors, judges, like really being open to learn and Googling these people, like researching to see like what they're really about. And so that I can have the best, vote option that I can, because it's always like a better candidate, even if both of the candidates are bad, there always is the better one, in my eyes. And then also like spreading awareness by posting stuff on social media, sharing things with my friends. There's a video that I have now that I'll drop in the messages below of a group of alt-rights that think that they are white supremacists, that think that there shouldn't be integration. So yeah, I think that everybody on this call is like very, very strong, and don't always put out the message that your voice is more powerful than you think. Like it is very strong. So yeah.
So in the future, after I complete law school, what I want to do is be able to teach children, school age, high school, middle school, and older adults about what the laws are, what the law is, and what they can actually do to combat police. And so the police won't tell you what your law is, because a lot of people, when you're on the street, the police try to interpret the law, tell you what your rights are, and that's how they assume power over you. And I also want to help with the next generation of politicians, and try to groom the next politicians, so we have more Black politicians out there fighting for what we want, and more Black politicians is coming from inner cities, because we have a lot of politicians that's from the suburbs of Chicago and the suburbs of major cities fighting for things that they never experienced. So I want to just get into the public schools and try to educate them, and try to see which ones that have that dream of being a president or senator or just wanting to be in office.
Joyce, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know we almost, talked out, and so I'll be very quick. But we started with a scripture. I want to end with the scripture. We read in Habakkuk chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, really Habakkuk's frustration at God. God, why is there so much violence? Why is there so much injustice? The Lord gives a reply to Habakkuk in chapter 2. You may have heard this scripture. This is what the Lord says: write the vision, make it plain, and then run with it. So that's the Lord's answer to Habakkuk's prayer. That's the Lord's response to his cry for desperation. All of you have articulated your visions, the vision that I believe the Lord gave you, that passion in your heart to do something for yourselves, for the betterment of your people. I want to implore and encourage you to run with that vision. Never be discouraged. There may be times where you feel like you can't go further. There may be times where you question it, but the Lord is with you wherever you go. Write that vision and make it plain.
Man, I think that was a great way to end. I was actually going to say, Jay Boo, before you interjected, I got so excited actually hearing y'all. We've got attorneys on this call right now. We've got psychologists on this call. We've got business owners on this call. We've got engineers on this call. We've got so many gifts that the world actually needs. The world needs each and every one of you. And that made me excited. Can you imagine if you actually did use those gifts to be the voice that we need for this generation and for the next generation? How much better would our country be? Would our communities be? Would our entire world be? And I think that that is a great way to end. That vision that you have for yourself, don't stop pursuing it. Don't stop pursuing it. The world needs you. All right. We thank everybody that tuned in. I think, we're definitely going to have a part 2, right, y'all? We definitely have to have a part 2. We definitely got to keep discussing this. And we want to thank everybody that tuned into this call to just listen to the voices of our young adults that was on this call. But we are super excited, and hopefully join us for part 2 on next week. And all of us are saying bye to you guys. Bye. And thank you for joining us today.